Yo guys, you've been asking for more tutorials, so here I am and here you are. Important note from this fella over here pointing out input knob on the Nolly. I'm gonna talk more about that. So here's a more in-depth look at my guitars. This is part 1 and I'll be going over more parts of my mixes, so stay tuned to the end to find out what's coming next, guys. Let's dive in, yeah. First thing first, the DI chain, signal chain. It's important to set the gain right from the beginning, especially if you have more gain stages. Before I had a mixer, and then that signal was sent to my audio interface. So I had to gain stage that correctly first and do a bit of EQ if I needed, and then do the gaining my audio interface to my DAW. But now I go directly into my Djent ID14 and I set the gain there only. I go through my 2 pedals, which is Whammy DT and the precision drive as well. Horizon device. Here you can see the settings. I have max attack and volume, and I like a little bit of brightness. Sometimes I add a little bit drive as well, but just a little. The Whammy is down tuned to drop F sharp, and my guitar is tuned in drop A. We're gonna talk about the recording process. Here are some DI signals. So that's with the precision drive turned on, and I have an example here. This was recorded at a different time, but still. So the gain staging might be a bit different here, but yeah, a bit edgier. A bit more focus, and the low end gets, see, I have to turn off all my stuff. So let's do that. So that's with the pedal, and this is without. So that's without the processing. Let's do it with the processing, and this is weird that it turned on stuff I don't use. Okay, let's go. A bit brighter, a bit more edge to the sound, I think. So that's the pedals and the settings going into my computer. If you wonder, I have these strings right here. As I said, I tuned to drop A and then use the Whammy to down tune. I feel the Whammy adds a bit of brightness compared to using the Gojira neural DSP. It tunes down well, the Gojira, but it doesn't have that high end, which I like with the Whammy. So no information gets lost in the down tuning process. My guitar is a Kiesel DCM7, I think, like stock Kiesel pickups, and it's a 25 to 27 inch guitar. I find that the scale length does a lot to the sound and to the brightness as well. You get tighter strings and you can have lighter strings, which makes the sound more edgy as well. I use these picks. I don't know if you can... No, my camera sucks. It's these picks, Pickboy 0.88. How you play matters. So if you pick hard, I find that it gives more attack and focus and it becomes more aggressive and edgy. Also how you mute strings and, you know, palm muting, but also being able to mute strings with your other fingers while playing single string helps a lot. And to be able to play tight with yourself, you know, tightness. Okay guys, let's get into the mix. Are you ready? I have this guitar rec stuff going on. It saves some CPU, and when you record, you can't go back to change the settings, which makes my flow go forward, so I don't have to decide later, oh, this guitar tone sucks. Okay, then it sucks. Yow. It's also easy to record 2 takes here. So if you take this one, for example, did record 16 on this one, and then I just pick the 2 best and I bounce in place. So in Logic, it's Control B. And then I just bounce it out and I get this duplicated end. also pan to the left and to the right here. So I have the guitars and then I pan them out. It's important that it's 2 different takes or you won't get that stereo effect. Okay guys, let's get into the Archetype Nolly settings I have here. I leave a link to my Nolly preset down in the description, both with and without the cab, because I use the GGD Cali. I can't pronounce it, I couldn't last time either. GGD Studio Cali cabs. We'll look at that too. If you rather look at my settings here, feel free to stay and we'll go over them together. You can just copy them. These are the exact settings that you can download below. All right, let's go over the input knob here. It's an important factor actually, I think, because if you have too much of that input, and I find that most presets in Nolly have too much input gain, it gets too dull. Let's take a listen. So if you have too much, it gets squishy and not so nice. And if you have too little of the gain, I think it doesn't get as edgy as it has to be. I think it worked quite well actually to take it down a bit this time. The output level I find is just a volume knob, so set it at what you like. Correct me below if you know something I don't. I use the gate on both my precision drive and my Nolly. Just set it accordingly to your liking. Let's listen without and with and stuff. It's nice to just max it out and then go backwards and find a nice setting for you. And also if you download my presets, you have to set this according to your own guitar, both the input gain and the gate. I have passive pickups on my Kiesel. I find it to be more dynamic. So I think this preset will work better with passive pickups. I think if you set the input knob correctly and maybe the gain as well, it will sound nice. I try to keep the gain down as well here for a more cleaner kind of sound. And you can see the settings I have here. Cuts a bit of low end, boosts a bit of mids and a bit of highs to get that edge. Oh, hello camera. Let's listen and fiddle around with the knobs. Some of these knobs, if you crank them a bit high, might sound better here, but it has to fit in the mix as well. I have the oversampling on high. It helps for a more cleaner sound when you have distortion and alias. Alright, let's go to the pedals before the amp, the virtual amp here. So I have compression and I max it out. I want that big sausage and I want it to be snappy, sausage attack. And I have drive all the way to the left and tone to the right, man. So, and max level out, man. Let's listen with and without, man. Does a lot to the tone, no pun intended, and with and without with the compressor. Gets a bit more punchy, a bit more sausage, we like that, sausage boys. And let's go to the EQ here, you can listen with and without, let's go. I kind of like this mid-focus sound as well, but for this tune I have a bit more focus on the 4K area. That nasty sound, man. I also have a dip here in the 500 Hz area. This one's I cut away with the other EQs. Okay, let's check out the GGD studio cabs here. I use presets here. It's down with the thickness. Down with the thickness. I find it a bit wider and also a bit more nice. Okay, so then we go to the next part. I bounce these tracks. I'll show you how I do it. We have an empty track here. I press on the region I want to bounce, and then I press the Command Control B and I press OK, and then it will bounce with the effects on. You can pause before if you want to see what settings I used. But I'll remove this one and we'll mute and listen to the guitars only here. Let's listen. So almost sounds like they're clipping a bit, but I think it's the master chain here without everything else. We'll take a look at the master chain in another video if you'd like, man, Swedish boy. Alright, let's take a look at the submix. I have my two guitars here, which have no processing on them. I had an EQ before, and it looked like this. I found that it was too dull with it on now, so I did all the processing on the submix here. So these guitars go through this bus here. So these guitars up here to the Gits submix. First things first, I have a compressor, which is sidechained to the kick drum. Let's listen. No kick drum on. Let's find the kick drum. And you see the settings here is kind of fast attack and release. I just wanted the kick drum to punch through on the attack stage. I don't want it to be too pumping, too pumpish. This is just for sidechaining the kick. Next, this one is just for automation volume. Let's go to the EQs. This is the fun part, you know? Whoa. So let's take a listen to the guitars without the processing. As you can hear, it's a lot of low end that I cut out and also low mid. And we'll put the EQs and other stuff one by one on. Let's go. So on this particular EQ I have a mid cut, so I want the bass out in the middle. And I also have these here, which I want to take out in the middle to make it a bit wider, because I want the highs on the sides. And I have a little mid Burke cuts here and a bit of cut right before the 4K and just above the 1300 spot. Let's put the next one on. So this was the EQ I had on each channel before, but I put it here instead to save some CPU and stuff. Here I have a cut at 42 Hz, and I also had some cutouts here. Let's listen. Just found some ringing notes that I thought, hey, get out of my face, man. Okay, next one. This is a preset. I just set the threshold so that I thought it's nice. It's the Bite and Sustain preset in Fab Filter Compressor. I find it nice. Okay, let's check out the next EQ. I take out some low Burke and also some ringing notes here as well. I did this preset actually before I bought Sooth, so Sooth kind of does this for me, but I left it in because I thought, why not, baby? Okay, next EQ. This one doesn't do too much. It's just a little bit at the 4K area, the harshness and some high end, and I have this mix knob at 58%. So you could argue that you don't need this one actually, but it's nice. The next one is cutting out a lot of the high-end stuff. So I have this at 6.9K, and I take out some of the highs in the mids because I wanted to spread out a bit, and also something here. And the last EQ, this one is huge. Let's listen with it on and without. So this one makes the sound focused and around 1K or 1.3K. I usually do it. Very mid-focused, Swedish boy. And I also cut out a lot of low end as well and some high end. And this makes space also for the bass and for the vocals and a lot of other fun stuff, you know. And lastly, the soothe. So the delta knob or the delta button here makes it so you can listen to what you're reducing. So it takes out a lot of that harshness, the 4K harshness, which is present in the digital guitar amps. I like to have the EQs like this so I can turn off one if I don't want it. It does take a little more CPU, but at least I don't have to have it on each guitar, so I only have it at the bus, the submix level. And then you can listen, for example, this one. Nope, 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 yes. Maybe we don't need it, so let's listen with and without. Makes a little more space for the vocals, maybe. Who knows? Let's listen to the whole mix. So the bass is doing a huge part, and we will look into that in another video. Also, the master chain is huge. There's a huge part here as well. We can listen with and without. It does a lot to the gain, the level decibels. Level of decibel. Yeah, so let's also compare the frequency spectrum with periphery atropos captured here. So Audiolens is from Isotope. It can capture frequency spectrums, and then you can compare your own mix to periphery. They have a lot more low end. I tried to add an EQ at the master to make it more look like the Atropos. But we'll look into that in another video. Thank you for staying with me. I'll leave links to the presets below if you want to support me, or you can just copy what I did in the video. It's the same. Next tutorial will be on the bass, so stay tuned, guys. Goodbye!